कश्चित् यत्तति सिद्धये यतताम् अपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन्मां वेत्ति तत्त्वतः भूमिरापो अनलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कार इतीयं मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा अपरेयम् इतस्तु अन्यां प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम् जीवभूतां महाबाहो ययेधं धारयते जगत् मत्तः परतरं न अन्यत् किञ्चित् अस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोक्तं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव दैवी हि एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यय माम् एव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायाम् एतां तरन्ति ते न मां दुष्कृतिनो मूढाः प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमाः माययापाहृतज्ञाना आसुरं भावम् आश्रिताः चतुर्विधा भजन्ते माम् जनाः सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरार्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा बहूनां जन्मनाम् अन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभः नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको माम् अजमव्ययम् वेदाहं समतीतानि वर्तमानानि चार्जुन भविष्यानि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न कश्चन इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप येषां तु अन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति स मद्भावं याति नास्ति अत्र संशयः यं यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजति अन्ते कलेवरं तं तं एवैति कौन्तेय सा तद्भावभावितः तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु मामनुस्मरयुध्य च मय्यर्पितमनो माम् एवैष्यसि असंशयः अनन्यचेताः सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः माम् उपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः आब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोकाः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपस्सु चैव दानेषु यत्पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम् अत्येति तत्सर्वमिदं विदित्वा योगी परं स्थानमुपैति चाद्यम् राजविद्या राजगुह्यम् पवित्रम् इदम् उत्तमम् प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यम् सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम् मया ततम् इदं सर्वं जगत् अव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सा चराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगत् विपरिवर्तते
विपरिवर्तते
अवजानन्ति मां मूढा
अवजानन्ति
मामूढा
मानुषीं तनुम् आश्रितं
मानुषीं तनु आश्रितं
परं भावम् अजानन्तो
परं
भावम्
भावमजानन्तो
अजानन्तो
मम भूतमहेश्वरम्
मम भूतमहेश्वरम्
मोघाशामोघकर्माणो
मोगाशमोहकर्माणो
मोहज्ञानविचेतसः
मोहज्ञानविचेतसः
राक्षसीम् आसुरीं चैव
राक्षसीम् आसुरीं चैव
मोहिनीं श्रिताः
प्रकृतिं
प्रकृतिं
मोहिनं
मोहिनीं श्रिताः
महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ
महात्मानास्तु मां
महात्मानस्तु मां
पार्थ
पार्थ
दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः
देवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिता
देवीं प्रकृतिम् आश्रिता
भजन्ति अनन्यमनसो
भजन्ते अनन्यामनसो
भजन्ति अनन्यमनसो
भूतादिमव्ययम्
ज्ञात्वा
भूतादिमव्ययम्
सततं
भूतादिमव्ययम्
कीर्तयन्तो माम्
सततं कीर्तयन्तो
यतन्तश्च
मां
दृढव्रताः
एतच्च श्रद्धवृत्ता
नमस्कन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते
नित्ययुक्ता उपासते
Hare Krishna to everybody. Hari Bol. Good evening. I'm very happy to be here with all of you this Sunday evening on the second lockdown that's been announced. So we are not able to come outside and be with you physically as before. So we are back to our online sessions completely. But anyway, I'm happy to see all of you here today. Tat Sat, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hope this finds you all nicely situated, safe, and carefully functioning. We hope and pray to Krishna for all of you that you will be protected by him, and in this way continue to utilize this advantage of the lockdown period and echoed some type of a living with Krishna in the center. I know many people are facing many different types of challenges and difficulties. There's no doubt that things are challenging from time to time, and sometimes being locked down for so long also has got its own challenges. Therefore, I offer my prayers to Krishna for all of your benefit. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagata Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are going to read from the 14th chapter and reflect on some of these amazing things that Krishna has mentioned. I'm not going to read the whole purport of it, but I plan to read 2 shlokas. The purports are very long, and try to take it up in terms of the coming festivals. Rama Navami on 21st, and I've been asked to reflect Ramachandra and his pastimes to you in the talk today. And so also will be the next week. So we're going to take about Gita and Ramayana together in the sense that we're going to examine some interesting aspects. This title of the chapter is The Divine and Demoniac Natures. So I will read these 2 shlokas from chapter 16. That is, I'm sorry, did I say 14? I'm sorry. It is chapter 16, and we are going to read text 7 and 8. And if we can, we will cover some of the purport sections also. So if you're with the Bhagavad Gita, then please do open it up at chapter 16, text 7. Pravritim cha nivritim cha janana vidura suraha na saucham na pichacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. Text 8. Asatyam apratishtam te jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kim manyat kama haitukam. So if you want to repeat this after me, I will read it here, one line at a time, and then you can repeat it, and finally we'll go ahead and chant together as we normally do on our full online sessions. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. Pravritim cha nivritim cha. Please repeat. Janana vidura surah. Shaucham na pichacharo. Na satyam teshu vidyate. Pravritim cha nivritim cha. Janana vidura surah. Shaucham na pichacharo. Na satyam teshu vidyate. Now let's all chant together. 1, 2, 3. Pravritim Great, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. The next one, text 8. Asatyam apratishtam te jagat ahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kim manyat kama hetukam. Translation: they say that this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex, desire, and has no cause other than lust. Reading the purport of text 7. Translation and purport. In every civilized human society, there is some set of scriptural rules and regulations which is followed from the beginning. Especially among the Aryans, those who adopt Vedic civilization and who are known as the most advanced civilized peoples. Those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions are supposed to be demons. Therefore, it is stated here that the demons do not know the scriptural rules, nor do they have any inclination to follow them. Most of them do not know them, and even if some of them know, they have not the tendency to follow them. They have no faith, nor are they willing to act in terms of Vedic injunctions. The demons are not clean, either externally or internally. One should always be careful to keep his body clean by bathing, brushing teeth, shaving, changing clothes, etc. As far as internal cleanliness is concerned, one should always remember the holy names of the Lord and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Demons neither like nor follow all these rules for external and internal cleanliness. As for behavior, there are many rules and regulations guiding human behavior, such as the Manu Samhita, which is the law of the human race. Even up to today, those who are Hindu follow the Manu Samhita laws of inheritance and other legalities as derived from this book. Now, in the Manu Samhita, it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. That does not mean that women are to be kept as slaves, but they are like children. Children are not given freedom, but that does not mean that they are kept as slaves. The demons know how neglected the demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think that women should be given as much freedom as men. However, it does not improve the social condition of the world. Actually, a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. She should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown-up sons in their old age. This is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed-up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. The social condition of women is thus not very good now, although those who are married are in better condition than those who are proclaiming their so-called freedom. The demons therefore do not accept any instruction which is good for society, and because they do not follow the experience of great sages and the rules and regulations laid down by the sages, the social condition of the demoniac people is very miserable. Om Tat Sat. So, there are some very powerful instructions given here. But the point of the chapter here is Krishna is speaking about two types of natures, broad classification, divine and demoniac. Demoniac means those who don't follow the instructions of the Lord. They don't care for it. And divine means those who very much like to follow the instructions, like to be instructed, like to be guided, because they're interested in a civilized, cultured human society, and they want to be part of it. So this is a very simple distinction. Dvau bhuta sarga loke asmin deva asure evacha. In the previous slokas, text 6, you will see Daivo vistarasaha prokta asuram parthameshanu. O son of Pritha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine, the other demoniac. I've already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. So the whole of Ramayana is about the demon and the demoniac. Lord Ramachandra is killing and defeating the demon Ravana. Who cares two hoots for God's rules or anything? He has got the audacity to even pick up the Lord's spouse and take her away, kidnap her away, and showing very clearly that I don't care. One sense it is foolishness. In the other sense, it challenges the said laws and rules laid down for human society as a guidance for them to progress gradually spiritually. That is being challenged by the demons. So it's very unsettling and very disturbing to those who want to follow God's laws. Therefore, Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata. Whenever this dharma is upset, that is the set rules and regulations for peaceful coexistence in this world, having a little bit of gratification materially and also spiritually progressing and following the rules and laws and everything like that. So it's very disturbing and upsetting for those who want to do that. So the Lord says he appears Abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam shachamyaham. I will reinstate religion. I will reinstate the proper rules and laws. I'll put the proper person on the top, reinstate him as a king, a dharmic king, and I will destroy the demons. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. In this way, Krishna says that. So this is broad classification, and at a time during the Treta Yuga, that is the third Yuga, Satya, Treta, I'm sorry, this is the second, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. In the Treta Yuga, this happened, Lord Ramachandra's appearance, and this great demon called Ravana. So we often tell people, we often know that it's such a wonderful historical epic. And it's not some fictitious story, it actually happened. It's chronicled throughout in the Vedic literatures, and Lord Ramachandra is very famous, very appealing, and very highly touching. His pastimes are emotional and touching and deeply educational for human society. So today, considering the nature of demons, the opposite is the nature of people who are actually very divine. It's very amazing to see the characters in the Ramayana, especially Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Shatrugna, Bharata. And amongst them also who are, Dasharath is a very powerful king and very much for righteousness. Sometimes amongst them inside itself, by some wrong association, there is contamination and there is confusion also. Whenever somebody is against the laws of the Lord, for some reason or the other, or by the Lord's own arrangement, then there is chaos. So in King Dasharath's place, normally, where he had a lot of control, this particular instance of him wanting to, the lots of stories connected one to the other and everything. But today I want to discuss a little bit about some of the characters, especially the character of Bharat. Divine qualities. What do you mean by? We know demoniac qualities, quite common and easy to know. But quite often people in this world say it's very difficult to be a nice, honest man, straightforward. There's no chance. You get trounced upon, you get, bulldozed, you'll be flattened out. You have to know how to live and survive. You have to do the necessary. Because of this type of atmosphere we have, it's very difficult for us to even manifest good qualities, even if we intentionally have them. So many people have to be dual personalities, and it becomes very difficult. It puts a lot of strain on everybody. You see, the thing about divine and demoniac qualities, you will see that in Kali Yuga, all of us struggle with these things inside us because of the type of atmosphere we live in. And truly enough, it says that in Satya Yuga, you will see that it was like one planet against the other. There were planetary fights in the sense of one planet attacking the other planet. You'll see all these amazing stories. It was the Devatas fought with the Asuras. From Devaloka, they came and they fought. It was like that, one planet against the other. In Treta Yuga, it became one country against the other. Ayodhya against Sri Lanka or Lanka, Ravana's Lanka. In Dwapara Yuga, it came inside the family, Kauravas and Pandavas, inside the same family, one group and one group. In Kali Yuga, it comes inside the same person. You have two things operating inside. There's a voice that's completely different from dharmic laws sometimes, that is pushing you. And there's also a voice because of association with devotee and Bhagavad Gita and everything. No, that's definitely not correct. And stopping it off. People battle with two things inside. in Kali Yuga. It's happening inside the system of one person. And this does not mean that there are no demoniac people also. There are demoniac people also. But they're not as powerful demons as Ravana and everything. Their karma is not as good as Ravana's. Ravana was a very special person. He did a lot of tapasya and he was born of a Brahmana father and a Rakshashi lady. So that's another description and story altogether. But divine qualities means you see the periods in history. Satya Yuga was very perfect. Everybody was amazingly great. Treta Yuga, slowly contamination crept in. And then you had these few cases of heavily demoniac people. But little unsettling, and when Krishna would come in his avatar and set everything right, it sort of became settled up. At those times, you will see there were a lot of divine people and their qualities were very great. What do you mean? We rarely get to see such very divine persons in ruling, in leadership or anything normally. What does it mean? So we want to examine the situation here, that temptations that come to you, I told you the voice inside and externally also assisting, and how a person knows this is what I'm going, I know the laws, I know, and this is how I should do, and takes decisions according to that because he's got education. He knows and he's determined to be a good person. And he does that. So in Bharata's character, you can see that very much. In also Lakshmana's character, you see that. In all of the Pandavas. Of course, because they were all being led by Lord Ramachandra himself, who qualities were absolutely perfect, 100% correct. So you will see that in the events that go through how birth of Ramachandra appears and how he gets educated gradually under Vashishta, and then Vishwamitra Muni comes and takes him for further education and to kill some demons, much against the desire of his father, but slowly he gives in. And then Vishwamitra Muni gives them powerful education in all sorts of warfare and weapons and strategies and everything. And as kingly persons, they learn these things and they become extremely powerful. And they try out and practice killing some demons for Vishwamitra. And then Vishwamitra also takes them to the land of Janaka Maharaj, and Ramchandra gets married to Sita, and they return, they encounter with Parashurama, and then they come back to Ayodhya, and Lord Ramchandra is about 25 years old then. When he left the house and went with Vishwamitra, it's mentioned he was 12 years old. That's why his father was very concerned. And then he comes back to Ayodhya and lives a very wonderful, peaceful life with Sita. But all of a sudden, things turn the other way around. Because of the association of Mantara, Kaikai, the beautiful queen, always Dasharath was in her company only. And she becomes contaminated with the association of Mantara. She loves Rama, and amazing things are mentioned about all of these characters. But because of Mantara giving her wrong advice and giving her poison into her head, bringing politics into our mind, we find these characters everywhere, especially in families, in corporate situations, in corporate circles. You find people who are, mischief makers, and they set one against the other, and they love to watch some problems happening because of them manipulating something. Sometimes they're even psychopaths at the workplace. They enjoy politics and setting one against the other, and they climb. You find all these characters, many Mantara characters, just that they're not old and hunchbacked and doubly bent like Mantara. But in their subtle body inside, they are like that. So she comes and pollutes Kaikai, and Kaikai completely changes in a very short time. And she starts thinking, I should do something good for my son, who is, actually supposed to be the king. I want to make him the king, not this person. He is not supposed to be the king. I will follow what mantra is saying. There's a lot of meaning. She is wise. She has been with me throughout life, right from my younger days. And surely she knows what to do, what not to do. Somehow everything shifts. She starts looking at Ramachandra in a completely different way. As a great competitor to her son becoming the king, or everything changes with one little influence. More on that later. But so Kaikai becomes totally different, and then Dasharath has already announced the coronation of Lord Ramachandra. And that's the news that Mantra hears, and then goes and chastises Kaikai and tells her, "You fool, you don't know what's happening, you're so stupid." And then she puts all the poison in her, and Kaikai changes. And then she gives her a strategy what to do. And she reminds Kaikai of the boons she has. She tells her to use those boons and achieve two things: make Bharata the king and exile Ramchandra to the forest for 14 years. So very highly, very cunning and very devious mentality. So Kaikai decides to do it under the influence of mantra. And then she puts on her charms and completely melts up Dasharath, who's so happy that coronation is going to happen. But little does he know what is being planned for him. And she puts on a big act and she demands. I'll not go into the details, but she demands that this should be done. And Dasharath is helpless, and he becomes devastated, completely broken down. All his plans are smashed. And in the meantime, he has also sent Bharat and Shatrughna away to Kekaya to see their grandparents and, Kaikai's father and everybody together. So the stage is set because Bharat was supposed to come back and watch the coronation, and so many other things were planned. But in the meantime, something else was happening here. And Dasharath, unable to do anything, succumbs to his wife. Then is banished. Lord Ramchandra goes to the forest, and along with him goes also Lakshmana and Sita. And gloom settles over the whole of Ayodhya. And here comes the time ready for Bharata's coronation. And so they make ready for that. The whole of Ayodhya is completely drowning in misery. Very beautifully described by Valmiki, and very moving tale. I'm not going into those details. Then what happens is that they decide, all the elders decide that Bharata should be called back, it should be crowned king. The country should not be without a king, and we have to do what is necessary to protect. We are all the ministers here, and we should do the needful. So they send an envoy, and the envoy goes all the way to Bharata's Kekaya kingdom and tells him, you have to come back immediately. They're waiting for you. And he comes back, but he has already bad omens that he sees, and he's wondering what's happening. Then he comes straight to see his mother in her palace, where he would expect his father also would be. And he comes and sees his mother, and he wonders why everything is so gloomy, why people are like this, like that, I don't know. And then very smoothly, Kaikai tells that your father has gone to the place where everybody goes at the end of life, etc. He has done his duties very well, but that's how it happened. And so Bharata swoons and falls down and, cries, sobbing, his whole body sobbing. He said, I could not see my father before he left. He was so gentle, so caring. He would even brush my dust from my shoulders now and then. His hands were so tender. He was such a wonderful father I had, so loving. I missed him. Unfortunately, I was not there with him during his last time. He just went ahead and he said that, how did he, what did he say in the end? What were his last words? Like that. He was missing him very much. So Kaikai said that, just before he passed away, he said, Sita, Ram, and Ram, Sita, and Lakshman, please, he shouted their names. So Bharat was wondering, he thought that, did he say anything about me? No, Sita, Ram, why was he talking about that like that? He said, no, till they come back and return, I hope. He said, what do you mean come back and return? Where are they? I don't see Rama here. I don't see my father here. Where's my, I don't see Rama here. And then she said that, no, one of the things was that I did this. I had boons. I asked of your father and I said that my son Bharat should be crowned and we should go to the forest for 14 years. And that's how he went. So then Bharat became very confused. He said, what? For me, Ramachandra is everything. And you also were, such a great lover of Ramachandra. He's your son. And what happened to you overnight? How did you become like this? She said that, no, my dear son, understand that great duties await you. You're going to be the king. You're going to be coronated. And you should use the power and you should do this. All this I did for you. All these things I did for you. And your father truly passed away out of separation from Sita and Ram and Lakshmana, especially Ramachandra. But whatever has happened, let's forget it and you take the crown and you rule. Bharat's mind completely changed for that moment. There's a very nice description of the nobility. Normally, Kshatriyas will take the power that's coming to them and enjoy it. But Bharat was not just an ordinary Kshatriya. He was a devotee. So he immediately went against his mother. He chastised his mother. And he said, you silly woman, you greedy woman, you don't know how important Ramachandra is to me. He is as good as my father. Where is he? I want to cry at his feet now. And you have sent him away to the forest. Wild woman. You think I'm going to accept your gift? You think your desire is going to be satisfied by me sitting on the throne? Not at all. I don't care for that. I am actually going to go to the forest wherever Rama has gone and get him back and make him the king. That's what I'm going to do. You are completely bewildered. You don't know what you're doing and what you're saying. You are a silly woman. And you have been the reason for my father dying. You are actually a murderess. And you dare say these things to me. Who do you think I am? I give you up as my mother. You are no more my mother. You're no more my mother. It completely changed. And it was in great distress. So, least thing that she expected happened. Everything came down as crashing. Now Mantra became somebody who was stupid enough to have given such an idea. Little did they know how it will work out. They thought Bharat will be very greedy and leap in joy and then take the throne and wow, I never expect to become the king because Ramachandra only can become the king anyway and I become the king, etc., etc. No. They didn't know the divine nature, the devotee nature of Bharat. He changed. Often in this world, when we get a chance for power, position, we jump at it. It's considered to be an opportunity to climb the ladder, considered to be an opportunity to move up. Doesn't matter who's getting trounced, who's getting thrown out. If you get a chance, you should leap and take it. But there are ethical, moral considerations for people who are noble. This is the meaning of a ruler, a leader. He never sets an example wherein he's seen as a person who has broken the laws, who has gone against certain simple etiquette. They want to uphold these principles. This is the real meaning of a Kshatriya, a leader. They're very noble in quality. It's not that just they know how to wield a sword and a weapon, or they're very good at fighting alone. That's not the meaning of a Kshatriya. Kshatriya, noblemen. None of these people who came and conquered India, the Mughals, the Britishers, murdering thousands and thousands of innocent people are to be called Kshatriyas at all. They're just weapon-wielding barbarians. They have no standards. They have no moral, ethical codes. They don't worry about weak people, women, children. They just take over power wherever it's available. Wild, barbaric, no culture. But we are talking about noblemen, very highly cultured. Only in India you will see that type of a history. The rest of the history you see is all bloody wars. There's no laws, there's no rules, there's nothing. Even if you see the whole religious history, Christianity and Islam, it's full of wars, bloodshed, and everything. Not that Vedic tradition doesn't have bloodshed. It also has got wars, but those wars are all dharmic wars. Wars fought against Ravana, wars fought in Kurukshetra against the Kauravas. They're all dharmic wars. They're wars in which they tried very much not to have it, to be conciliatory, to be uphold dharma. They tried best, a lot of mediation, arbitration, all that went on. And war was a last resort in order to protect dharma. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. So these are noblemen. You can't tempt a noble Kshatriya position, name, and ask him to do the wrong thing. Because their duty is to protect dharma. So they'll never behave adharmically. Because they'll be militating against the purpose of their own role and duty. So you will see that they will protect dharma very much. So when his mother acted adharmically, having killed her own husband and requested of him some completely wild boons, saying that such a noble person like Ramachandra should go to the forest, and if we can rule and we can, you can be the king. I don't mind losing my husband, but my dear son, you'll be with him. He said, stupid you are. You lose your husband, I lose my father, and we're going to be happy together, me being the king. What's wrong with you? He didn't succumb to it. Although you may be thinking that you're giving me great reward, it's totally wrong. Number one, ethically, morally wrong, religiously wrong, against the codes, against all these. In every way, you're wrong. And I could, set aside all these things for the sake of getting a kingdom, but I won't. I don't want that type of power that is stained with unethical, immoral, doings. So you will see the nobility of Bharat coming out and the types of things that he suffered. Because everybody all over Ayodhya were thinking, this is the guy who has engineered it, he and his mother. And he's very happy now. He's going to be the king. So there's a big coronation ceremony set up, and the priest called in, and the sacrificial arena was built up, and he was going to get coronated, Bharat. But he came back, and this is what he told his mother, his first meeting with his mom. He said, get lost. I'm not going to be the king. And then he went and met with, first person he met with was Kausalya, Ramachandra's mother. Let me meet her. And so by the time, he reached Kausalya, they came to know that Bharata has come back. Okay, he must be expecting great things. He must be wanting to be the king. So whatever it is, let's get ready to meet him. And Kausalya was working in her mind many things. And so Bharata went and she said very nicely that we won't stand in your way. You may do what is required and what is necessary, etc., etc. All I need is please take me to Ramachandra in the forest. I don't want to be an impediment. The way she spoke hurt Bharat so deeply because his intention was completely different from what people are thinking, including his mother. So oftentimes when you do right things and when you stand for the right thing, people are wondering either you're stupid or you're covering it up very nicely and putting up a pretense. But if you're genuinely like this, which is rare in this world in these days, but you will be mistaken. So Kausalya thought that this guy is now, definitely going to jump up and take the kingdom. And we will all suffer. So she said, at least do one favor for me, take me to Rama and I will live there. Or allow me to join my husband. The funeral pyre, when you cremate, I just want this thing, one of these things you do. So he became very hurt. So and he explained to her that you've mistaken my intention. For me, Ramachandra is my father now. He's the only one I can look upon to. My love for him is so much, I miss him so much. And all these events that are coming on me like a whole flood, one after the other, I don't know how to take it. But my dear mother, I don't have any. He made it very clear to her. And by the way he said it, Kausalya immediately know that this person is genuine. And there is a very loving emotional exchange between both of them. And the next thing he does is all the funeral rites are done by him. And still the whole of Ayodhya does not know what's happening. They're thinking that he's going to become the king. And groups of people were discussing it. This is the guy, he and his mother together engineered the whole plot, killed the king, sent off Ramachandra to the forest, and they're going to occupy the throne. Horrible. We never knew there were people like this and this is going to happen. So they were talking all sorts of things against. Just imagine, you're not thinking like that at all and everybody's thinking something else. A completely different perception of you is created. When a leader is perceived in a different way and his intentions are true, and it's very trying for that person. But he persists in exhibiting on the principle of the right thing to do. That's the meaning of quality. When you say you have a divine quality, you're very determined to do the right thing. And the situation and circumstances that you may be in, it doesn't matter. Never you want to be caught doing the wrong thing. Although it's very challenging to do the right thing. It's also very challenging to make people understand that that's not the way I'm thinking. You got me wrong, completely wrong, 180 degrees apart. Still, you have to go about your job. And Bharat had that horrible task of wading through this wrong perception that people had about him. And everybody whom he met, he could see that. So he's going through a great pain. This is nobility. Nobility doesn't mean that you'll have everything going fine because you occupy the throne. You use your power and your clout and your wealth and put people down. And that's not the meaning of nobility. Nobility means inside out nobility. Because you are what you are inside, you're able to command respect from people. And they know it. They can see you inside out. So what happened was, after the funeral rites were done and Bharat was extremely sad, the 14 days observance went through. Nobody talked to each other. Bharat was just ruminating and introspecting and very, very sad. He went through a difficult time. And then they had an assembly called. And they called Bharat and said, you should get ready. The coronation will be done, this thing, and you should take this. So he appeared there. He went around the whole sacrificial arena, paid respects to all the priests. And they thought he's going to occupy the place for the sacrifice to happen. But he said openly to everybody, My plan is not to be the king. This throne belongs to Ramachandra, and he is the rightful king. I will be only his servant. That's my decision, and nobody is going to change it. Nobody is going to change it. Prepare an army. All I ask of you, if at all you have respect for me, prepare an army and make the roads ready. We are going to the forest to meet Ramachandra. And when they told him before that, he cried and broke down and he said that, you mean to say that I will be safe sitting on the throne? What a hard-hearted person I must be. That my brother has been sent to the forest, my father has passed away, and I occupy the throne? Who do you think I am? I am not of that type. He explained to the whole assembly, and they were all moved that, my gosh, we thought this person was completely different. And we are able to see now exactly what he is. He has feelings, emotions of a completely different type, diametrically opposite to what we thought. So many times we are in the situations when we actually explain to people in person, a paradigm shift occurs. We sometimes think, oh, he's thinking like this, rascal, I'll do this to him. What do you think? Who told you this? You get into a confrontational attitude and you spoil it. But what Bharat did, he was a very intelligent person. He said, this is what I am. I open my heart and tell you, I am never going to listen to any of you elders that I occupy the throne. I am against that decision and I will stick by it. I have some principles in life and I'm going to do that. The throne rightfully belongs to my brother. I love my brother and he's the most qualified with all his qualities. Anybody will say it. Why should we lose that opportunity? We can go and try and get him back, and don't think even the least bit that I have any desire to occupy the throne. When he made that clear, people had a heavy load lifted off their chest. The wrong perception about Bharat just fell down, boom. And everybody became so light-hearted, so happy to see that you're thinking like this and you brought the solution. So often when we express ourselves really our intentions, especially if they are not against the norm, you stand to gain, but there are always mischief makers in between. But that doesn't matter. Bulk of the people can feel the pulse when you interact with them and you tell them. And so all of them agreed, and Bharat, it's mentioned, took a whole retinue, a army, and went up right up to the bank of the river Sarayu, I think, and he was willing to cross it. At that time, the tribal chief Guha, he tells his people, wow, I see this whole army. It must be Ramachandra's younger brother, Bharat. Look at the flag, I can see. Why is he bringing an army? Obviously, he's going to see Ramachandra, but why an army? I think he's going to fight him so that he doesn't come back at all after 14 years also, and he can peacefully reign. My gosh, what a horrendous thought these people have. And he said, anyway, I'm going to clarify. And if it is so, be ready, keep the army ready, and we'll fight him out right here, not allow him to. Guha, obviously, his tribal chief, was a very great friend of Ramachandra and a devotee. So he climbed up and went up to Bharat and welcomed him. And Bharat said, I just want you to help me cross the place. We're going to meet Ramachandra. So Guhan expressed again, I am a little suspicious of the fact that you have come like this. Why would you want to go with an army and meet? Are you going to fight him or something? I mean, just want to know. Again, like a bludgeon in his heart. Bharat suffered, oh my gosh, this is what you think of me? And then he explained to him, I'm going to ask him to come and rule the kingdom, that I am not going to take this throne, etc., etc. So repeatedly it is mentioned Bharat faced this and suffered that type of a perception. Somewhere else it's mentioned that Bharat would go in the early morning in Ayodhya to take a bath. In those days when he was waiting on the 14 days and everything, because people were throwing stones at him. Here goes that guy who's going to occupy the throne, who killed his father. So it seems he used to go to take bath early in the morning at 2 o'clock, whether you call that morning, before the sun came and before people got up. Because if you go later, people would attack him. So much was the perception around that he suffered. So sometimes nobility and divine qualities are put to test in this world often. And it's a constant thing that happens. Whereas for demoniac people, they seem to be enjoying life by being what they are. So often people ask whether, people who do these type of things are rewarded. They are more happy, they're prosperous, they get all the money. And something is really wrong. It's demoniac qualities that get rewarded. Divine qualities get punished in this world. True. You can say that's true. But noble means a person knows that whether somebody gets a vote or becomes more popular on social media, if his character is demoniac and people are following popular, it doesn't make any sense. That's okay. Those things don't last for too long. Good character and being determined to follow and do the right thing is a great quality, and it's rewarded even today. And such a person is a devotee. Because he's a devotee, he depends on Krishna, depends on the Supreme Lord. Just like Bharata simply depended on doing the right thing. And he had a lot of work to do, swimming against the current of the perception. But he did it very patiently. Went right up to Ramachandra, asked him to come back. Ramachandra said no. He was also very determined to do what he's supposed to do, according to his plan. And Bharata said, never mind. I am also determined. I will not sit on the throne. Till you come back, I'll live like you. So he also matted his hair, wore bark. And it's mentioned that for 14 years, he slept on the floor, ate barley soaked in cow urine. For 14 years, he ate that. He said, same austerity that my brother follows, I follow. And these shoes of Ramachandra that I have, they are the rulers. He put them on the throne. And he became a king with no title. All the responsibility on his head. All the headache, all the difficulties he took up. I will rule on behalf. And it's Ramachandra who's ruling because he's temporarily gone. I'll do all the hard work to keep up. I don't need a title. I'm not the king. So can you imagine anybody without a position taking responsibility? No title, no position, but doing all the work of the king. This is great austerity. This is the meaning of a noble man. When we use the word noble, it means this high class of qualities. Kshatriyas are like that. They're not short-term, quick fix sense gratifiers like the demons. They are long-term, principle-based, and they are victorious in a solid way in the future. It takes a little time maybe in this world to establish the position of such a person. But such people are very determined and they move ahead and they do. And like they say, truth triumphs always. Bharata, he lived like that, determined, and he did everything. And Ramachandra came back. He embraced him and took him, Spushtuka Vimana, and came back. So I was just citing this as an example of divine quality. We, demoniac quality. Sometimes we need to highlight this, that there is a lot of value for standing by principles, moral, ethical principles, religious principles. And human society needs God and religion, and from that derived moral and ethical principles. Otherwise, it will become an animal society. Crazy. And that's what's happening in the world. none of these leaders whom we vote for are capable of fitting those boots or wearing those boots or fitting into those shoes. So, although it's difficult, still in this day and age, the ISKCON movement under the order of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's instructions is trying to inspire people to follow the track of God's instructions. In this day and age, the instructions are the same instructions given, but scaled down according to the ability and capability of people in Kali Yuga. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, reading Bhagavad Gita, imbibing these qualities, and in a community of such people practicing them, irrespective of what the world thinks. And Prabhupada mentioned that this community will grow because it is blessed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's blessed by Krishna himself. And it'll definitely go and conquer the world. Because everybody, latent desire of everybody inside is to actually be a good man, to be a good person. And somehow because they don't see that atmosphere available, they tend to be misled, tend to be directed by other people. And in the association, they do wrong things like mantras, association, spoiled kai kai. So there has to be some place somewhere where people are able to see good association and experience that so that they'll know that is not correct, this is correct. So Prabhupada said that's why this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is created, where people can see ideal members of society, where they follow God's laws and rules and have very sweet relationships, and they keep God in the center of their activity, and they're successful in their life. Simple living and high thinking. So it's not that Ramayana's principles cannot be followed in this day and age. Very much it can be. It can be followed according to the time, place, and circumstance. And we invite all of you to be part of this wonderful endeavor in this community. And whatever level of following you can do, does not matter. But make a beginning. And we'll be very happy to help you. Goodness still pays, because it pays you with God consciousness. It pays you with the greatest reward of love of God, Prema. Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. Thank you. If there's any question that you would have, I will be happy to answer it for you. Here is a question from Lohita. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my question is, if it took Diksha, one name Maharaj, if it took Sannyas, another name Maharaj, in Goloka, one name only Maharaj, two names. Wow, that's a question different from the class. But Lohita, well, you see, when a person takes Diksha, it means he's accepting a guru and committing himself, he gets a name. But when he takes sannyasa, it's about varnashrama and changing the ashrama. So then normally a sannyasi gets a title, not exactly a name. Like my name is Bhakti Vinoda Swami. The Swami title is the title of a sannyasi. The beginning Bhakti and Swami together are connected. So that's a title. Sannyasi gets a title because the sannyasi is supposed to be the guru of the whole varnashrama. The entire, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmana, Shudra, everybody together. He is the guru of the whole varnashrama, and he is like the guiding person. So he gets a title, just like a king gets a title, because it's a very responsible position. And people look up to such a person to be guided. It's a title, not exactly a name. To just briefly make the differentiation. When you take Diksha, you get a name as a servant of Krishna. And when you're a sannyas candidate or taking sannyas, then you get his title. The name is also implied and indicated in that. But this is the basic difference. Of course, in the spiritual world, you have your swarupa, your defined devotional service to the Lord. And according to that devotional service, you have a name, a position. That is transcendent. Inside the material world only, there are things like diksha and accepting a spiritual name, etc. But there you have a permanent name and you have a permanent position in your service according to your natures. And that is something a little more exotic, and that can be maybe explained in a different way. I hope that's useful, Lohita. Okay. Any other question or comment? Right. Thank you. Hare Krishna. If there's no question or comment, I would end here and wish you all a very happy weekend. Sweet dreams of Krishna on Sunday night. And may Krishna bless you and keep you safe from the coronavirus. Be also exercising caution and care. Observe all the precautions and keep safe. May Krishna protect you. Krishna Matirastu. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.